They laughed at the poor dishwasher, but what happened next was unbelievable. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It was just another dull afternoon in that noisy restaurant. My hands were pruned from soapy water, my back ached, and the smell of grease clung to my clothes. The laughter of the diners echoed around me, sharp and mocking. They saw me as just a poor dishwasher, the invisible cog in their glitzy machine. Little did they know I carried secrets deeper than the stained plates I scrubbed. That I still remember the bright sun streaming through the grimy windows, casting a glow on their smug faces. They sat there, clinking glasses, oblivious. I was a ghost to them, just part of the background. In that moment, it felt like my heart beat louder than all the laughter combined. I was drowning in their scorn, fighting the rising tide of tears. My dreams felt so distant that I had dreams once. A love ignited with Mia, her smile lit up my world. We were supposed to escape this place together. But she had left, chasing brighter horizons, while I remained trapped in this prison of plates and despair. My friends? They barely noticed the toll it took on me. They were living their lives, enjoying moments I could only envy from afar. That day was different, though. As I scraped the last crusty bits off a plate, I heard something strange. A metallic clang, echoing in my chest. I noticed a glimmer from the corner of my eye. Was it a coin? No, it was something more. Something hidden, something meant to stay buried. I couldn't breathe. Panic clawed at my throat as I fumbled to uncover it. A small, ornate box, dust-covered and covered in intricate designs. My heart raced. Was this what I thought it was? The murmurs around me faded as I slowly lifted the box, feeling its weight in my trembling hands. All eyes were suddenly on me, the laughter frozen into shocked silence. What had I found? I felt the weight of their judgment before they even spoke. "What's that?" whispered one. I could see the curiosity morphing into suspicion. In that microsecond, as I held my breath, I knew everything was about to change. Did I dare open it? Would it bring fortune or ruin? My world teetered on the edge. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As I stood there, the ornate box cradled in my hands, a whirlwind of emotions spiraled through me. The laughter and chatter couldn't drown out the boom of my heartbeat echoing in my ears. Fear tangled with curiosity, creating a knot in my stomach. Did I dare open it? The eyes on me felt like burning coals, their curiosity a double-edged sword. Just open it already. Someone yelled, their impatience cutting through the tense silence. The words hung in the air like a challenge. With all eyes upon me, a flicker of bravery ignited, compelling me to lift the lid. As it creaked open, the air thickened, and I hesitated just a moment longer. Inside, nestled in faded velvet, lay a collection of delicate trinkets, bronze keys, intricately carved and shining dully in the dim light, and a faded photograph, its edges worn and its subjects shrouded in time. The moment felt surreal, as if I had crossed an invisible threshold into a hidden world. The diners leaned in, their earlier mockery replaced by intrigue. Irresistibly drawn, I lifted the photograph, brushing dust from its surface. It showed a couple, faces radiant with youth, their eyes filled with unrecognizable happiness. My breath caught in my throat. They looked like they belonged to another era, another life. I had never seen them before, yet something about their expressions mirrored my own pools of longing and regret. Suddenly, a palm brushed against my shoulder. It was Elena, a waitress who often sneaked me sympathetic smiles when the drudgery became unbearable. "You okay?" she asked, her voice a soft anchor amidst the chaos. For a moment, her presence made me forget the invisible weight of judgment surrounding me. I found this, I stammered, holding up the photograph for her to see. Her eyes widened, curiosity ignited. "Wow, that's intriguing," she said, leaning closer. "Do you think they left it behind? Or maybe it's a treasure map?" The thought washed over me like a wave, dragging along a flicker of hope. Perhaps this box could lead to something more than just smuggled past dreams. But the urgency of the moment quickly dissipated when laughter erupted once again from a nearby table. "Look at the poor dishwasher playing treasure hunter." It sliced through the air, laughter resonating, as others joined in with their cruel laughter. My pulse quickened, not from the thrill of discovery but from the familiar sting of mockery that I lowered my eyes, my heart sinking deeper. Just when I thought I could tap into a sliver of hope, the laughter twisted the knife anew. However, as the noise swelled around me, Alina's grip tightened on my shoulder. "Ignore them," she whispered fiercely, her eyes emanating an unwavering kindness. "Whatever's in that box, it belongs to you. You're not just a dishwasher. You're so much more." Her words enveloped me, a small but powerful flame in the oppressive darkness. Steeling myself, I turned back to the box, determined to confront whatever lay ahead. With a deep breath, I withdrew the keys. Their bronze surfaces glimmered in tentative promise, grounding me in the now. But what would they unlock? Suddenly, the door to the restaurant swung open with a gust of wind, stealing away the laughter and drawing my gaze. A stranger stood on the threshold, their silhouette framed by the bright sunlight. It was a man, ruggedly handsome but with a vulnerability in his eyes. My stomach twisted at the sight. He scanned the room, and though we were surrounded by a sea of tables, his gaze landed firmly on me. For a flicker of a second, our eyes locked, and I felt an inexplicable connection stirring within me. Is that what I think it is? The man called out, stepping forward, raising his voice to be heard amidst the now hushed murmurs. "What do you know about it?" I challenged, indignation swelling within me, masking the quiver of fear. His eyes softened, recognition dawning upon him. "I knew someone who once owned that box," he said, taking another confident step closer. "And if the keys are there, then you're holding more than just memories. You might be holding secrets that could change your life." Before another word could escape my lips, the tension in the air thickened, and every eye in the restaurant turned to us. In that moment, I realized I stood at a precipice. A choice lay before me. Would I unravel the mystery, or would I retreat back into a world aptly suited for a ghost? But then, in the fervor of mingled emotions, I felt something slip from my fingers. One of the bronze keys clattered to the floor, rolling beneath a table where laughter had once reigned. I turned to retrieve it, and when I got down on my hands and knees, I barely noticed the figures whispering, pointing, or even laughing again. All I could focus on was the dancing glimmer of hope and the chilling unknown that seemed to await me just outside the door. As I knelt, my heart racing, the world above faded into a dull roar, swallowed by the intensity of the moment. The key rolled just out of reach, taunting me like the laughter that still echoed in my ears. I reached further, hands sliding across the cold floor until my fingertips brushed the cool metal. Securing it, I straightened back up, the laughter still ringing in the background but muffled by the thud of my pulse. Suddenly, a hush fell over the restaurant, thick as fog. The man with the rugged visage had moved closer. "You shouldn't ignore this, you know," he said, his voice low yet charged. "Every key tells a story, and this one may unlock your past and your future." I looked down at the small bronze key in my palm, its weight a curious anchor amidst the swirling tides of laughter and disdain. It felt impossibly significant, but as shame washed over me again, I couldn't suppress the instinct to shrink back. I wasn't worthy of such a dramatic narrative. I was just a dishwasher, someone who spent her days scrubbing away the remnants of others' lives while my own dreams lay dormant in the shadows. Elena squeezed my shoulder reassuringly, her presence a comfort amidst the chaos. "What do you want to do?" she asked, her eyes shimmering with genuine curiosity, as if she'd be content no matter my answer. My mind raced, contemplating the weight of the decision before me. Don't know, I stammered, suddenly feeling as small as a child lost in a crowd. Maybe the man took a step closer. Maybe you don't need to know right now. Maybe the truth will reveal itself when you're ready. He was right, of course. I felt the vibration of potential thrumming beneath my skin, a flicker of excitement battling the shadows. I could sense the weight of my own choices as they hovered above me. But what if my choice led to something darker? I glanced at the photograph again, those faces in the image untouched by the burdens of the present, and I felt a stab of longing for a life that had never been mine. What if it's all just a mistake? I murmured, my voice trembling. What if I open a door that should remain closed? Then you'll discover the truth, he replied, his sincerity carving through my doubts like sunlight slicing through a storm. And truth is worth seeking, no matter how painful. His words coaxed out the embers of courage buried deep inside me, renewing the fight against the laughter and the judgment. Alina's encouraging nod ignited my confidence slightly more, and I beheld the box and its treasures anew. This time, I didn't feel just the weight of scrutiny from the diners, I felt a yearning pulse, an invitation to step forward. Okay, I whispered, gathering my breath. What's the first step? Let's find out who those people in the photograph are, the man encouraged, taking a step back, allowing me the space to breathe and decide. At that precise moment, a force of wind blustered through the door again, carrying in the distant sound of laughter and music from the street, mingling with the pungent aroma of frying oil and melting cheese. It sparked an idea. The restaurant held more than just my embarrassment, it was a collection of lives intertwined by chance, and perhaps, hidden within those walls was a clue to my own story. I want to know who they were, I stated firmly, my eyes glimmering with determination. I want to discover what this all means, that's the spirit. Elena cheered, and for the first time, the laughter from the engrossed diners felt muted instead of debilitating. The man's gaze was piercing yet warm, a recognition of my resolve igniting more than curiosity, it ignited a flicker of shared hope. Good, but be cautious. Sometimes, what we uncover can lead to unexpected paths. As I gripped the key tighter, the surface suddenly warmed against my palm, a feeling that sent a thrill of electricity racing through me. I responded, a newfound sense of purpose blooming within me. Just then, a loud crash reverberated through the restaurant, a customer had toppled a tray of dishes. The sound shattered the fragile moment, sending a fresh wave of laughter. Rising as some erupted in obnoxious applause, harping on the clumsiness of the mishap. But within that chaos, my heart sank as I turned instinctively to see the commotion unfold. A shadow at the back caught my eye, a figure I recognized, hovering just beyond the crowd. My breath hitched when I registered the familiar face, a jolt of realization hitting me like a crashing wave. It was my brother, Daniel, my estranged brother, whom I had not seen in years. His eyes pierced through the sea of laughter, searching for something, perhaps someone, holding a heavy weight I couldn't yet comprehend. Our gazes met, and the laughter faded into an oppressive silence, as if the room itself was holding its breath. I felt the world shift beneath me, the room spinning with possibilities that felt almost too much to contain. What did he want? Why now? The very person who had chosen to walk away from our shared history stood mere feet from me, and everything I sought, the keys, the truth, the photograph, felt suddenly tangled in a web of unresolved emotions and painful memories. In that moment, I understood, with one calamity, the universe had woven together the threads of my life, and everything was about to change in ways I couldn't yet fathom. As Daniel's figure loomed in front of me, the cacophony of laughter and clattering dishes faded into an echo, replaced by the thudding of my heart pounding in my chest. I tried to swallow the knot that had suddenly formed in my throat, but it remained lodged stubbornly, like all the words I hadn't been able to say during our years of silence. Why are you here? The question tumbled out before my mind could catch up. It was less about seeking an answer than it was a release, an unearthing of all the feelings I had buried since he left. Our shared childhood memories surged forth like a tide, each joyful moment collapsing under an avalanche of bitterness and neglect. Daniel's brow furrowed, and for a moment, I saw the boy I once knew, the one who used to protect me from all the monsters that lived under our beds. But the distance in his eyes told a different story, one crafted from years of separation and resentment. I heard you were working here. His words felt like blunt instruments, lacking the softness of familiarity. Did you come to gawk? To laugh? I bit back defensively, my hands curling around the key still warm in my palm, a lifeline amidst the storm of emotion swirling within me. Come on, that's not fair, he responded, folding his arms tightly as if to shield himself from my accusation. I came to see how you were doing. By humiliating me in front of all these people. I gestured around, the laughter stinging my ears again, sharper now that I was grounded in a reality that hurt more than my dreams could aspire to. Elena, sensing the tension, stepped closer to my side, her warmth radiating a silent support I desperately needed. Maybe, you both could talk somewhere quieter. She suggested, her voice laced with the notes of compassion that seemed to douse the flames threatening to engulf my anger. Sure, why not? Daniel's tone was clipped, a defensive wall built up almost instantly. The weight of his presence loomed larger than the crowds of laughter surrounding us. I didn't expect to come here and find you cleaning up after other people, Tara. It's different from the life I remember. Yeah, different for you, I responded, my voice shaky. You left. I stayed. As the last words left my lips, something shifted in the room, as if the air had thickened with an unsaid apology intertwined with unbroken resentment. After what felt like an eternity, he nodded slowly, his eyes softening just a fraction. Let's go outside. Reluctantly, I followed him through the throng, weaving past tables of diners who remained blissfully unaware of our unfolding drama. Once we stepped into the crisp night air, the coolness brushed my flushed cheeks, and the sound of the restaurant's chaos faded to an inaudible whisper. What do you want from me, Daniel? I forced out, crossing my arms as the chill crept under my blouse, feeling exposed in more ways than one. You disappeared from my life without a word. And now? You suddenly want to check in? I know, he admitted, his voice losing its edge. I messed up. I just wanted to see how you are. It's been so long. Oh, so now you care. I scoffed, the sting of unresolved hurt spearing through. Have you thought about that at all? I spent years wondering what happened to you. I searched for you. The cops wanted to file a missing person report. Daniel flinched, and in that moment, the familiar dance of anger and pain cascaded between us, both of us trapped in the ruins of our shared past. I didn't think you'd care that much. You were always the one who wanted out. You were the dreamer. Is that what you think this is? I gestured back toward the restaurant, where laughter still spilled through, echoing like taunts from my childhood. This is my life, Daniel. I'm no longer that dreamer. Dreams die when you're too busy surviving. For a moment, silence consumed us, the weight of lost time stretching between us. I grasped the key more tightly, feeling its pressure against my skin, reminding me of the urgency of the future I wanted to explore, yet standing stagnant now in the purgatory of the past. That I am sorry, Daniel finally said, his voice softer now. And as I caught his gaze, I saw a flicker of vulnerability. I was wrong to leave. I thought I was protecting you from. He trailed off, unforged thoughts heavy in the air. Protecting me from what? The question floated out with a tremor that betrayed my searching heart. But before he could answer, a distant noise pierced through the night, a frantic series of sirens racing toward our direction, growing closer with each heartbeat. In that moment, I glanced back toward the restaurant, and a dreadful thought gnawed at me. What if something happened? My voice faltered, a sense of foreboding tightening around my chest. I turned back to him, panic clawing at my throat. What's going on? Don't know, he stammered, his brows knitting together, confusion replacing the melancholy from moments prior. As we stood there, an eruption of shouts followed behind the noise, and the laughter from the restaurant faded like a dying star. Several customers rushed out, their faces blanched with fear and uncertainty. My heart began to race again, but this time it was not driven by the gravity of our conversation. A wave of desperation hit me as I realized whatever the crescendo of alarm meant was intertwined with the fragile thread of my future, linked to the fledgling hope in my heart that I had to find out what was happening. We need to go back inside, I urged, turning to him with determination. As we hurried back, the chaos we had left behind morphed into undeniable trepidation, hanging thick in the air. I could feel a storm brewing within myself, very much like the tempest raging outside. Stepping through the door, the scene unfurling before me felt surreal. Amidst the flickering lights and hushed murmurs, all eyes were on a woman slumped against the counter, her expression pale, clutching a crumpled piece of paper like it held the secrets to the universe. Above her trembling hands, I caught a glimpse of a familiar logo, the same one that adorned the photograph I had cradled so gently before. My heart pounded as I clutched the key tightly, feeling the world spin once more, and my destiny hanging in the balance. In this moment, everything that had been hiding beneath the surface loomed closer, and with it, the weight of truth was shifting. The murmurs grew louder as we approached, a ripple of uncertainty snaking through the diners gathered around the woman. My heart raced. The precious photograph, could the newspaper in her hands be connected to it? Do you recognize her? Daniel's voice, low and concerned, interrupted my spiraling thoughts. I shook my head, my gaze fixated on the unraveling scene, tension coiling tighter in the air. Please, the woman's voice trembled, breaking through the knot of voices. Just listen to me. She looked around, her eyes pleading for Simeone Anianito. Pay attention to her plight. I'm not crazy. I have proof. A rush of familiarity flooded me, her frantic energy echoed someone I had once known all too well. I squeezed Daniel's arm, my instincts sharpening. Do you think we should? I whispered, but I couldn't finish the thought. There was something in her posture, a desperation that aligned with an unspoken understanding about loss and survival. In a sudden surge of courage, I stepped closer. What proof? I called out, the promise of something more vibrant than my own insecurities tinging my voice. The room fell silent, all eyes shifting towards me, the weight of expectation heavy in the air. She straightened herself, trembling yet resolute, lifting the paper slightly higher. My heart sank as I squinted, catching sight of bold, chaotic headlines that spoke of missing persons and dark truths lurking in the shadows. My stomach twisted with unease. That I can help, she declared, desperation crackling through her words. I was part of a cover-up. We thought it was over, but she glanced nervously around the room, her voice dropping to a whisper. They began to target people who were close. People like me. And you. For a moment, the world stood still, and the air between us thrummed with tension. The concept that I might be included in whatever danger she referred to sent a chill crawling down my spine. I glanced at Daniel, his expression mirroring my rising fear. Close to who? I pressed, my voice barely above a whisper. What are you talking about? Rosie, the name floated into my mind from deep within my memory, a flash of laughter and warmth. She was my childhood friend, and I hadn't thought about her in years. A wave of nostalgia crashed over me, mingled with the bitter scent of grief. Rosie, she was my sister, the woman exclaimed, her eyes glistening with tears. And she shouldn't have died. She tried to expose what was happening. She found something out. Every instinct within me screamed to retreat. The woman had the same haunted look I saw in mirrors and dark corners, an echo of loss and longing that never quite found resolution. What did she find? I can't say here. Her panicked whisper rose again, each word laced with urgency. Not here. They have ears everywhere. The crowd surged as whispers flowed, and the tension thickened. People began to pull away, preferring the comfort of denial over the weight of a truth that threatened to unravel. But my heart thrummed with a beat of connection I couldn't ignore. Please, I took a step forward, drawing on the shared shadows of our lives. I want to help you. Daniel moved closer, hand protective on my back, but I felt a fierce determination gripping me. Whatever you know, well, listen. You're not alone. Her breath hitched, disbelief sparking in her eyes for the briefest moment before turning to gratitude. You don't understand the risk, then help us understand. I urged, glancing toward Daniel, whose presence soothed the storm surging through me. The weight of whatever she had to say felt heavier than personal loss. This was about uncovering truth amidst chaos, exposing the jagged edges of our lives formed by hearts and dreams once brightened by love. But before she could respond, the ominous sound of the restaurant door slamming against the wall broke through the fragile moment. A tall figure rushed in, face obscured by shadows, commanding sudden attention from the crowd. Murmurs shifted into whispers of dread. "Step away from her," he ordered, his voice like ice slicing through flesh. "You don't want to get involved in this." The room chilled, and I instinctively moved closer to Daniel, my pulse racing. My mind screamed at me to turn and run, to forget this moment, to bury the memories deeper rather than reclaim them. But another part of Mimi Dreamer, my fighter, remained rooted, sensing that the truth was inching closer. "Who are you?" the woman demanded, defiance flaring in her eyes. "Just a friend," he replied, a cruel smirk painting his lips. But friends often forget their loyalty when it compromises their safety. A breath caught in my throat, his threat hung heavy in the air. I glanced at Daniel, whose expression darkened with insights I wished I could fathom. "We should go," he murmured, a shield forming around me yet again. But as I turned, pulled by the grip of his hand, I caught one last glimpse of the woman's fearful eyes, mirroring all the unspoken questions floating within. "You have to know we're all pawns in this. Those who seek the truth are often silenced." The menacing figure loomed closer, and I felt a surge of panic. The connection I formed in that brief moment was wrapping around me tighter, and suddenly, the weight of destiny pressed down with fierce intensity. My heart raced, torn between a new chapter fraught with danger and the shadows of a past I long thought I had buried. As the revelation hung above us like a storm cloud brimming to overflow, I knew that this wasn't just about Daniel and me, Anna Marie. It was about all those we had loved and lost, their lives intertwining with ours in profound ways. We rushed toward the door, but at that moment, the fragile thread that connected us all snapped, leaving a chilling echo of uncertainty hanging between chaos and truth. The ground beneath our feet shifted ever so slightly, my heart circled back to the photograph, the key, and the tangled web of our intertwined destinies. As the neon lights dimmed, I felt an invisible thread pulling me back, whispering promises of danger and truth. I turned back once more, a need to know coursing through me, but the woman was gone, lost in the noise, hidden away like so many secrets we dared not uncover, and the realization hit me hard: the past was not yet done with me, and neither was my longing for the embrace of dreams reborn in the light of startling truths. The rain poured down in sheets, a bleak curtain separating us from the world outside. I leaned against the window, watching the droplets race each other down the glass, mirroring the tumult of emotions swirling inside me. Daniel had been unusually quiet since our frantic escape from the restaurant, his hands gripping the steering wheel like a lifeline, as though he were holding together not just the car, but also the frayed edges of our reality. "What do you think she meant?" I finally asked, my voice barely a whisper. "About being pawns? About seeking the truth?" He sighed, the weight of the world evident in his shoulders. "I don't know, but I do know that we need to be careful." My heart sank at his response. Carefully navigating our lives had always felt like balancing on a tightrope, and now the threat of darkness loomed even larger. But while apprehension gnawed at my insides, an ember of curiosity ignited. "I can't shake this feeling," I said, almost to myself. "What if she knows something that could help us find Rosie, or at least lead us toward the truth? What if this is our chance?" Daniel's eyes flicked to mine for a brief moment, revealing the conflict etched across his brow. "Don't you think it's too dangerous? There is danger everywhere in searching for her, in staying here. But I can't live with the unanswered questions. I need to know what happened." He pulled over to the side of the road, the rain hammering the roof of the car like an insistent heartbeat. "You're asking a lot, you know. What if we find out that the truth could be worse than we imagined?" I turned to face him fully, my heart echoing the fervency of my resolve. "Worse than having lost her? Worse than wondering what could have been? Daniel, I wouldn't be able to live with it." He let out a breath, slowly nodding as if he were weighing my words, the tension in his muscles easing just a fraction. "All right," he said softly. "But we have to be smart about this. We need a plan." Outside, the rain began to ease, a soft patter rather than the cacophony it had been mere moments ago. A small moment of hope slipped through the cracks of despair. I turned back to the window, taking a steadying breath. Let's go back to where she was. Maybe she left clues. Before Daniel could respond, my phone buzzed in my pocket, jarring the silence. I pulled it out and saw a message from an unknown number. My heart raced as I opened it. Meet me at the old library. I have what you're looking for. But hurry, time is running out. Panic set in as I looked at Daniel, who wore a mixture of concern and curiosity. What is it? He asked, leaning closer. I read the message aloud, and as the words settled between us, the air grew thick with urgency. This could be a trap, Daniel said, shaking his head. Or it could be the break we need, I argued, my heart pounding in sync with the relentless rain outside. We won't know unless we go. Daniel hesitated, caught between his instinct to protect and my fervent determination. Okay, he finally agreed, his voice firm. But we go in prepared. No more wild leaps into the dark. With that tentative agreement, we drove toward the library, my pulse racing, the promise of revelations both glorious and terrifying growing with every passing moment. As we approached, the facade of the building loomed large, its windows darkened and the doors locked tight. No one comes here anymore, I mused, stepping out of the car and staring at the peeling paint and faded sign. It's as if time forgot it. As we ventured towards the entrance, the familiar scent of old paper and dust washed over me, carrying a weight of stories untold. Daniel had followed close behind, a protective presence, but even his steadfastness couldn't stifle my own sense of foreboding that a rustle from deeper within caused me to pause, holding my breath. Did you hear that? Stay close, he urged, his voice low. The wooden door creaked open under our touch, revealing an interior cloaked in shadows. Ancient books lingered on shelves like forgotten dreams, and cobwebs ruled the corners, but in the air, a charged energy crackled. Drawing me further in, hello. I called out, the sound echoing off the walls, swallowed by the vastness of forgotten corridors. No response. Are you sure this was a good idea? Daniel whispered, glancing nervously around us. I stepped deeper, feeling an unseen pull guiding me. The aura of lost secrets beckoned. We can't turn back now, I insisted, placing one foot in front of the other, shifting through fading memories of laughter and whispers. Then, suddenly, a flicker at the end of the hall caught my eye, a faint light spilling from a door slightly ajar, a promise of answers, perhaps. Hope surged anew, propelling me forward as if something beyond that threshold awaited, something imbued with the power to change everything. That I pushed the door open, my heart racing with trepidation. Inside, a single lamp cast a dim glow over a table cluttered with papers and documents. On the wall, a map painted with locations I recognized. My breath hitched when I spotted Hiroshi's name inked in bold, circling a very familiar neighborhood, but just as understanding began to dawn, the door slammed shut behind us with a jarring thud, echoing through the silence like a death knell. I turned to Daniel, panic rising as I whispered, "What's happening?" Then the voice echoed through the room, cutting like a knife. "You wanted the truth. Here at ICE if you dare to look closer." From the shadows, a figure stepped forward, face shrouded in darkness, but the voice was unmistakable. It chilled my bones, for it was a voice I had never wanted to hear again, my mother's, long believed to be lost to the shadows of my past. "Welcome back, my dear," she said, her tone dripping with a mix of sweetness and malice, revealing a world of secrets I never imagined I would face. The last thread of my fragile hope slipped away, leaving only the stark reality of desperation flaring anew. The flicker of the lamp cast long shadows in the cramped room, painting my mother's figure in an eerie light that made her seem both familiar and alien. The air around us became thick and suffocating, as if time itself was holding its breath. My heart thundered in my chest, disbelief clawing at the edges of my mind. "Mom," I whispered, the name feeling foreign on my tongue. I had spent years envisioning this moment, yet now that it was here, I felt unmoored, like a ship lost in a storm. Her smile was unsettling, a mixture of pride and something darker that shrouded her intentions. "It's been so long, hasn't it? I see you've been quite the little detective." Daniel shifted beside me, his presence grounding yet also sparking a new layer of worry. You're alive?" he breathed, disbelief coated in the tremor of his voice. "Alive?" She laughed softly, the sound echoing in the stillness. "Perhaps that's one way to put it. I've always been alive, it's just that some of us live in shadows, away from unwanted eyes." "What do you mean?" My thoughts raced. The tenacity that had forged my path to this moment was now morphed into confusion. "Why did you leave? Why didn't you come back?" Her eyes glimmered with an enigmatic light, the warmth of a mother replaced by the frost of a stranger. "Oh, sweet Rose, it's far more complicated than that. You've been led to believe in a world that doesn't exist. Every step you've taken has been laid out carefully, like pieces on a chessboard." The memory of the strange message flashed in my mind. "Is that what this is? The truth you hinted at? What do you know about Rosie?" She feigned surprise, stepping closer, irrevocably pulling me deeper into her web. "You think I'm here for her? How naive." The glee in her voice twisted my insides. "Your little sister is but a piece of a greater puzzle, one that I had thought you'd never stumble upon. You see, my dear, you were never supposed to find out." Something sharp jabbed at my heart, the revelation slicing through the last vestiges of hope. "What do you want from us?" I managed to ask, my voice trembling. She leaned further into the light, revealing a face both haunting and yet achingly familiar, the contours of her smile etched in years of memories. "It's not what I want from you, but what you are willing to give up. Every hero must make sacrifices," she said, her eyes glinting with an eerie intensity. "What does that mean?" Daniel interjected, anger simmering just beneath the surface. "Daniel," I warned softly. "We need to tread carefully," but my mother wouldn't be quieted. "Truth, my dear, requires honesty, a trade of sorts." Her eyes bore into mine, remorsefully dancing beside something dark. "I can help you find Rosie, but it won't come without a price." "What price?" I breathed, fear coiling tight in my chest. The silence became heavy, an ancient echo through the deserted halls. "You must confront the ghosts within your past, the truths you've buried, the failures you've hidden from. In exchange, I can show you the way. But only if you muster the courage to embrace what you fear the most." "You want me to confront my past?" "You left," I shouted, tears pricking the edges of my eyes. "I had to protect you," she hissed, frustration flaring beneath her cool facade. "But it appears the pieces are moving faster than expected. You must act soon, or she might be lost to you forever." A sharp plea lodged itself in my throat. The gravity of her words threatened to pull me under. "I won't trade innocent lives for answers," I snapped, the fire in my heart igniting. Yet doubt flickered in the back of my mind. What if I had no choice? Suddenly, the lamp flickered, casting errant shadows as a gust of wind swept through the room. My mother's expression changed abruptly, splintering the calm facade. "Soon it will be too late," she warned, urgency coating her tone. "They're coming." "Who's coming?" I cried. "Those who want what I know. We need to leave now." Before I could react, the door swung open, and a figure emerged from the darkness, gun in hand, a jagged silhouette blurring the lines between safety and danger. "This isn't how it ends," the figure growled, their voice cold as steel. Heart hammering against my ribcage, I glanced at Daniel, whose eyes spoke volumes of the fear and uncertainty swirling between us. Without waiting for an answer, my mother reached for my hand, her grip surprisingly strong and insistent as she pulled me toward the back door. "Trust me," she urged, her gaze flickering back at the darkness that swelled behind us. In that split second of choice, my pulse raced like wildfire, igniting chaos. With Rosie's safety dangling precariously in the balance, where could I place my trust? Just as we began sprinting toward escape, a shot rang out, sending a shiver down my spine as I felt the impact reverberate through the floorboards. "Move!" Daniel shouted, shoving me forward. But deep in my heart, a question lodged itself like a thorn: could I trust the very woman who had left me once before? And, would the cost of truth be more than I was willing to pay? With chaos erupting around us, the gravity of choice loomed large, casting a shadow over every flicker of hope in the growing darkness. The cold night air bit at my cheeks as we barreled into the alleyway, my mother pulling me against her side. The sharp retort of the gunshot echoed behind us, intermingling with the distant sounds of the city sirens, shouts, the murmur of lives unknowingly entwined in our chaos. Daniel was there too, his heartbeat synchronized with my own, a metronome driving us forward into the abyss. Where do we go? I gasped, my breath caught in a shaky rhythm, fear churning in my stomach like a rolling tide that had no time for questions. My mother barked, urgency etched into every line of her face. Well, find safety first, then he'll explain everything. That we stumbled down the alley, the shadows wrapping around us like a shroud. I didn't want to trust her again. I wanted to scream at her, ask her how she could lead me down this treacherous path again. Yet, when the next shot rang out, a part of me realized that the danger was real, and to fight was to put Rosie at risk. What do you know? Daniel bit out, his hand gripping my shoulder almost painfully. What's happening, Rose? I could feel my heart hammering, but as the adrenaline kicked in, logic began to worm its way to the surface. We can't just run. If we keep going without understanding, I don't want to lead us to a trap. With your mother? He countered. We need to survive this first. Everything else is secondary. His words struck like stones, hard and unyielding, and I couldn't help but call back my earlier thought: was I playing a game I didn't fully understand? My mother had seemed confident, almost triumphant in her condescension, as if she were more than just my lost parent. And there it was again, that deep-rooted conflict gnawing at Mimi mother's history which intertwined with mine, a history unsolved and riddled with unanswered questions. We need to find somewhere safe, but we can't lose ourselves in the labyrinth of her past, I coaxed, but fear laced my voice. Your mother knows things. She can help us, Daniel pressed. I won't abandon you to her again. Just keep your wits about you. Before I could respond, we turned a corner and stumbled into a small, dimly lit cafe, its neon sign flickering within the haze of streetlight. The comforting smell of fresh coffee and pastries washed over me, momentarily distracting from the tempest. It was a haven, albeit a temporary one. Come on. My mother beckoned, her tone shifting from urgency to something almost soothing. They won't follow us here. Not yet. We slipped inside, the barista glanced up, and her expression shifted from curiosity to concern. Are you all right? She asked, her voice tinged with empathy. It was oddly comforting amidst the chaos of the night. We need help, I whispered, a sense of vulnerability washing over me. Please, she frowned but nodded, as if taking in the weight of my fear. Take a seat. I'll call the cops. Tell them you're safe. No. My mother's voice was sharp, a hint of panic lacing her words. Trust no one, not even her. The barista's eyes widened, but she turned toward us, shielding whatever instinct told her to flee. I'm just trying to help. That genuine kindness hit me like a wave of warmth in the chill. Please, we don't need the police. Just a place to hide for a moment. With a hesitant nod, the barista gestured for us to the back of the cafe, where a narrow hallway led to a cramped storeroom. Over here, she whispered, and I could see the resolve building in her gaze. I'll stall if anyone comes. Just keep quiet. And there it was, a small ember of hope in the form of kindness. A reminder that perhaps not everyone's heart was shrouded in darkness. We hurried into the storeroom, the door clicking silently behind us, the weight of impending danger still heavy in the air. In the cramped space with the smell of stale boxes and old mops, I could feel the tension building. What now? I murmured, huddled against the wall alongside Daniel, my mother fidgeting in the corner like a caged beast. I need you to understand, she began, her voice low but insistent. There's more at stake here than you realize. It isn't just Rosie's safety, there's a whole network, web. But before she could finish, the muffled sounds of shouting erupted from the cafe, drowning her out. The barista's voice rose in urgency, and the unmistakable grit of tension cut through the air. "No," I breathed, looking at Daniel, my anxiety spiraling. "What's happening out there, I don't know, but we can't stay here," Daniel said, his eyes flickering toward the door. "Then what do we do?" I countered, panic rising in my chest. "I can't lose her again. Not without knowing the whole truth." "My love," my mother whispered, stepping closer, an urgency in her eyes that mirrored the chaotic energy outside, "I promise you, the truth is horrifying. But it's the only way we can save Rosie." I swallowed hard, the implications of her words heavy and ominous. The ruckus grew louder, footsteps echoed, and my breath hitched, caught somewhere between fear and fierce determination. Could I trust her with my heart and soul once again? But then, a new voice broke through the clamor, one icy and familiar, yet shrouded in darkness, a voice I hadn't expected to confront tonight. "I see you, Rose. Your mother thought she could hide you, but you can't escape the past." My heart raced as everything around me blurred, the weight of the revelation crashing down, sending ripples of despair spiraling within. The game had only just begun, and adventure lurked menacingly at every turn. My hands trembled as I gripped Daniel's arm, its quiet strength anchoring me amidst the storm of impending chaos. "It was never just about the truth," I whispered, fear gleaming like sharp ice in my chest. "It was always about what we're willing to sacrifice." As the icy voice echoed in my mind, I felt the weight of every past decision, every rift forged by secrets and lies. It was a haunting figure, lurking in the shadows of my life, a specter whose presence escalated my already spiraled emotions. My breath came in harsh bursts, a frantic rhythm that matched the frantic pounding of my heart. "Who is that?" Daniel whispered, his brows drawn tight in concern, the warmth of his hand squeezing mine grounding me momentarily. "My father," I managed, struggling to piece together the shards of my past. "He left when I was a child, but he never really vanished." "Not completely." The truth tasted bitter on my tongue, and old fear resurrected. "Your father?" My mother stepped closer, the urgency in her demeanor softening into a hesitant vulnerability as if she recognized the depths of this anguish. "What does he want?" "To punish you and me, I suppose," I spat, frustration boiling over with every confession. I didn't want to bring Daniel deeper into this nightmare. "He will try to use Rosie against us." "That can't happen," she urged, desperation creeping into her voice. "Well, figure this out." Together, I echoed, the word tasting foreign on my lips. In this moment of peril, could we really overcome the legacy woven so intricately into our lives? Before I could answer that question, the commotion outside swelled, breaking through my thoughts like the shattering of glass. Suddenly, the door to the storeroom rattled, my heart leaping into my throat. "We can't hide forever," Daniel reasoned, keeping his voice steady. "We need a plan, and now." But as the door swung open, the figure silhouetted against the cafe's soft glow sent an electric jolt through me. A young woman, her expression fierce yet compassionate, stepped in, a note of determination shimmering in her gaze. "I'm here to help," she said, her voice strong. "My mother ran this cafe, and I know every trick to navigate these streets. We don't have much time, why would you help us?" I breathed, still disoriented in the whirlwind of emotions. The warmth of her kindness felt like a faint embers of hope against the tempest raging around us. "Because I recognize fear," she replied softly. "I've seen too many lives drenched in shadows. Your fight, it rings true. We all deserve a chance." "Thank you," I whispered, overwhelmed by her unexpected kindness. It was a tether in this storm, a lifeline reaching through doubt. "Quick! We need to get out before they figure out you're here," she urged, casting quick glances to ensure no one lurked too close. "There's a back exit, follow me." We followed her lead, my mind racing through possibilities, each more dire than the last. As she led us through the narrow passage of the cafe, my thoughts spiraled. I couldn't shake the fear that my father had always been one step ahead, that the safety I sought was nothing more than a mirage. But the fire that burned within me pushed me to fight back against the looming darkness. As we stepped outside, the air chilled with an impending storm that felt foreign against the warmth of the cafe. The streets were chaotic, and I could hear shouts in the distance, evident threats casting heavy shadows over every corner. "There's a safe house not far from here," the woman hissed. "We can regroup, gather ourselves. Do you really think we can trust you?" My mother interjected, suspicion still coloring her words. "Honestly? No," the woman replied bluntly, a glint of steel in her blue eyes. "But I hate what's happening and I want to help stop it. You may not trust me, but trust in your instincts. Right now, they're your best ally." I felt that familiar flame flicker in my chest. She was right, the truth I sought was smothered under layers of fear, doubt, and betrayal. We needed to cling to hope, no matter how fragile. "All right," I said, locking gazes with Daniel, finding strength in our shared commitment. "Let's go." As we scurried through alleys adorned with remnants of broken dreams, the very streets felt alive with an anxious energy. I refused to let the darkness claim me. I would unravel the web of lies waiting to ensnare us, but as we turned the corner towards the safe house, the heavy sound of booted footsteps echoed ominously behind us, accompanied by the drifting of voices. My heart plummeted, a striking realization igniting a wave of dread. They were closing in, faster, the woman urged, her urgency infectious. But just ahead of us, a flickering shadow caught my eye. A figure emerged from the thick mist, tall and familiar, its posture commanding and menacing. "No. Please." I gasped, instinctively stepping back. "Rose," he laughed. "Did you really think you could escape me so easily? You've only just begun to play the game that I in that moment." The truth hit me harder than any revelation I could have ever prepared for. There was no escaping the past, and the battle for our lives had ignited into something much larger than I could comprehend. The depths of his reflection echoed in my mind. It was never just about survival. It was about the fight for whatever remained of love and family, whatever that meant anymore. And at that moment of realization, I could only brace myself for the storm that was about to consume us once and for all. The dark streets echoed with the thud of my racing heart as I stood frozen, caught between flight and confrontation, between the shadows of the past and the uncertain hope of the future. The figure loomed closer, a specter from my nightmares, and every instinct screamed at me to flee, but I could hardly breathe, let alone move. To watch him, my father, inching into the light felt like staring down a dark abyss, one where every fear I had tried to outrun now surged forth. "Did you really think you could leave me behind, Rose? That you could outrun what's in your blood?" His voice dripped with mockery, each word coiling like a noose. I had once longed for a moment like this, desperate for answers to childhood questions left unanswered, for reasons behind his abandonment. But now those desires felt eclipsed by a cold wave of fear, the reality of his intoxicating presence setting a slow burn through the core of my being. Daniel's grip tightened around my arm, pulling me back slightly as if to gauge if I was ready for the confrontation, as if he was imbued with a fierce determination. "We're not afraid of you," he shouted, steadier than I felt, a valiant shield against my father's darkness. "Oh, but you should be," he replied, smirking as he casually stepped into the shadows again. "You have no idea the forces you're playing with, boy. The truth you seek comes with a hefty price." My father's eyes glinted with something malicious, igniting a flicker of anger deep within me. "What truth? You mean the truth you tried to bury? The truth that's haunted all of us for too long?" I could feel the air crackle between us, the tension palpable, as if time itself shivered in anticipation of what lay ahead. "It's already too late for saving yourself, Rose. I only hope you still have the strength to save your needy little sister. Don't you dare mention Rosie." I spat, the fear twisting into a ferocious defiance. I shoved past Daniel, every fiber of my being surging with a combination of dread and fierce determination. "You think you can control us with your games? You're wrong," but he just chuckled, that unnerving laugh splitting through the anxious air. "Games, my dear. I'm reaching beyond mere games." His words hung in the air like poisoned fruit, twisting my heart into knots. "It's about choices, yours and the ones you've made without even knowing it. Before I could respond, the woman from the cafe emerged from an alley, locking eyes with me as she waved urgently. "We need to go," she called, voice strained with panic, her breath visible in the frigid air. Movement snapped me back to the present. I turned, desperate to break free from my father's suffocating grasp on my mind. "Let's move," I yelled to Daniel, the fire in me igniting anew. "We can't let him control this anymore," but he laughed again, a sound reminiscent of shattered glass, filling the alley with chaos. "You think you can escape me? My influence is everywhere. I will never let you go." As the shadows encroached, I took a step toward that flickering hope, the one that surged through me every time I thought of Rosie. I could sense the love and the fight she held just beneath the surface, and somehow, that emboldened me. "We're going to save her," I told Daniel, the conviction in my voice forging a path between us. "Even if that means facing him. I refuse to live in fear any longer." "Then face your truth," my father roared, lunging towards us. But before he could reach me, the moment exploded into a whirlwind of confusion and noise. The woman from the cafe pushed forward, yanking me toward the shadows behind her. "This way," she shouted, and without hesitation, I followed. We dashed through hidden passages and alleys, running through the familiar streets that once felt like home but had now morphed into a labyrinth of treachery. Fear drove my heart, but more so, I felt a sense of purpose. Behind me, I could hear the echoes of my father's fury growing distant, yet his presence weighed heavy in the air, and I knew he was far from finished. As we pressed on, the woman shared whispers of her plan. "There's an old community center where we can hide out. No one will look for you there. Once we regroup, I can help you figure out your next steps." Every word cast a flicker of hope, stitching together a fragile tapestry of resilience. "Let's go," I breathed, tightening my grip on Daniel's hand. For Rosie, we finally reached the center, its dilapidated structure hiding secrets of its own. Inside, the air was thick with dust, but there was a sanctuary in the shadows. It felt sacred, a space to breathe, to collect my scattered thoughts. And ironically, it felt like our past could finally be pieced together in these forgotten corners. After sweeping the room for any sign of danger, we finally settled in, my heart calming. "What do we do next?" Daniel asked, looking at the woman with hope yet tempered caution. "Now we wait," she said, the steel in her voice reassuring. "Let them think you're hiding. But you must know the truth of what you are dealing with. They won't stop coming until it's all revealed." With that, I felt the brilliance of clarity pulsing through. His was the moment every dream collided with every fear, where the power of truth would weave through the web of lies. "I'll find Rosie," I said with fierce determination. "I'll uncover every secret, and I'll bring her home." "What if it shatters everything you love?" Daniel asked softly, the warmth of his hand reminding me of the fragility of our shared hopes. "Then I'll embrace every broken piece," I replied, the purpose in my voice burgeoning like a flame driving back the darkness. "The truth always comes to light. It's time we let it free." And just like that, I knew. I had faced ghosts that haunted me long enough. It was time to confront the future and embrace the unknown that lay ahead. Daniel stood by my side, and my heart swelled with the understanding that together, we could shine even in the darkest of nights. Outside, the storm clouds rolled away, allowing the moon to cast its silvery glow upon our path, illuminating the uncharted terrain that awaited. I took a deep breath, embracing every ounce of hope, knowing that we were ready to unearth the truth no matter the cost. "Let's go," I whispered, stepping forward into the light of what was yet to come, united in this fight, together against the shadows. And as I turned toward the darkness, I understood one thing with profound clarity: sometimes we have to step into our fears to reclaim the life we are meant to live, a life intertwined with love, hope, and an unyielding spirit that thrives against the odds.